Okay, this is a very detailed video. At the end of it, you will have a live working bot ready in two methods, both with Flowise chatbot UI as well as the React component. I will start with showing you the GitHub repo, which is like good to go. You can just fork it, clone it right now, deploy in Vercel in 1 minute. That will be working. It is not a fully working app. It is partly working app, as I will show you in the rest of the video. And then I will cover the top learning resources for Flowise AI and Make.com, my top 6 tips for working with LLMs GPT, and then we will go into Flowise, set up the agent and the function tool there. Then we will go to make.com and set up all the stuff there and connect it to Flowise. Then I'll show you two methods to deploy right now, go live and go live using Vercel. At the end of it, we will have two go lives. So this is the GitHub repo which I have shared. The links are there in the post and the description. So all the source code are here, and these are the asset schemas. This is the Flowise tool schema. This is the main React agent schema. This is the make.com blueprint. In case you want, you can just import it and make the changes. It's good to go. Now this repository is good to go if you just fork it. Even if you just fork it, or better still clone it, and you deploy it. It is a working app. It is currently exactly the same one is deployed here. This is the version which is the deployed one. I just wanted to make sure that the basic framework works. Now this is obviously not the whole it is not the whole app. It is partly functional because all the agent URLs I have replaced that with only the single main agent URL, and I have put some there are some rate limits and all which I have put there. Now this is so it won't work directly. You will need to set up all these separate agent and link it here. So now, for example, if I test it, I give something. Hey, can you update with a new thing? Vector Shift. It is an LLM app development platform, and I have deployed this. The link is available on
the update for 𝐵VectorShift has been successfully made. Here are the details. Heading: 𝐵VectorShift.
Yeah, so it is all that it is doing is, so this is connected to React agent. Now actually no data is getting uploaded because I have not connected it the React agent to the flow and make.com, which is what we'll be doing in this video. So it will I put a dummy URL there, so it just executes the API call and sends the response back. Similarly, all of these things, these are all linked to the same agent. So these are as we in the remaining parts of the series, as you build this component, you can just change those URL, and I'll show it to you as we go ahead. Now at the end of this video, we would have made the Flowise agent connected to the tool and connected to make.com. So at that point in time, you have a working bot ready in the Flowise UI. And if you want to make this functional, at the end of the video, I will just show that where to make the change, and with that you are ready to go and good to go. And like I said, this app currently I have deployed it on my custom domain. It takes hardly 1 minute to deploy, which again I'll cover at the end of the video, though I have a separate video with more details, but I will cover at the end of the video also. Code. So by the end of this video, all the codes are there. End of this video, you should be able to have a UI which is working, Flowise UI in case you want that, or you should be able to connect this. At that point, this part will work, this part will be work. These parts are still not linked, so they will be little wonky. Okay, so let's go on to the next piece. In terms of resources, in the post and the description and the GitHub repo, I am also sharing resources and links to the various videos and guides which have helped me. But there are two special ones which definitely are marvelous ones. One is for Flowise. Flowise, I will strongly suggest Leon Van Zyle's tutorial. They are lovely, from basic to advanced, marvelous tutorials, whole set of things. Flowise, I learned Flowise from Leon's tutorials only. So, I will strongly suggest that many of the things which I show on Flowise, Leon has covered it in very great depth in a very slow and easy way. So anywhere you get stuck on Flowise, Leon tutorial. Next, for make.com, there is all these links will be there in the description, obviously. And 𝐔𝐸𝐿𝐴𝐵's videos on make.com. Absolutely, he is a specialist on make.com. It does pretty much, I think, only make.com videos, and everything from web scraping with make.com, LinkedIn, social media post, web parsing, and so on. And some of the master classes on HTTP and all which he has taken are like brilliant. So I will strongly suggest 𝐔𝐸𝐿𝐴𝐵's videos also. My top tips for working with GPT. I mean, Without GPT, I don't think I would have been able to create an app like this in any respectable period of time. Few things. This is from my previous article where I had. This is from my previous guide and article where I had shown how to build an analytic assistant connected to your live data warehouse. So it is a video and a Medium and a guide on Medium available. Free access links are there. Everything, all the links will be there in the description and all. So there I have covered many things, and one of the things which I want to reiterate is the working with LLMs and GPT. My top favorite techniques. One is for coding AI coding assistant Cursor and Claude Dev. Second is voice typing. If you are not already doing it, I routinely voice type. Some of the natural language instructions are very long. Do this, do that. It takes minutes. Sometimes I'm talking for 1, 2, 3 minutes, right? So difficult to tap. I use Google Docs. You can go to Google Docs window. Typically is you can go to Google Docs and just voice start. Google Docs has a tool, it has got a voice typing feature, so you can go to Google Docs and you start voice typing your whole thing here and copy paste there, or use any other, whichever else your voice assistant that you like. Video screen grab. So this is again a very useful technique. So suppose you're watching my video and some part is not clear. Video, you can see some process or code, or some part is not clear. So you can just, I do this very often. I will just grab a video which has got some code or some process flow, do a screen grab, give it to GPT. I use ChatGPT plus, but you can use any of the one which can. Google has got a very free tier for image recognition. Sonnet has got free tier for image recognition. ChatGPT also. So you give the screen grab to GPT and ask it to, hey, can you pull out the code from this, or can you tell me, I'm not clear what is happening here in this flow chart or something. Can you explain that to me? Vision based guidance. Very often I'm filling something, Google scripts, I'm trying to go here, go there, click something, and some box comes up, something happens, so I don't know where to go and where to click, right? So one of the technique which I use is, especially in Amazon and Azure and all, it's a maze there, it's like a maze there. So I will simply take a photograph and tell them that you go, I am on this button, what button should I click, or where do I find it? Sometimes where do I find whatever terminal? So it will tell me, okay, see, go top there below, you see like that sign like this, click on that. That's how it guides. And other thing, very useful technique is, sometimes I will get a code like the one I am sharing, or some other guide is there in Medium or anywhere. So I will simply copy that whole thing and give it to a GPT and or LLM or a GPT, and tell them that I want to do the same thing, but I am not very clear how to go about it. So can you guide me step by step, right? So that's how I start. Video transcripts is again in some of the videos. Sometimes one few times I had to do this. There was some long video guide, and I read through it. But for that specific case, I was finding it difficult to follow the video, so I pulled out a transcript of that YouTube video. You can pull it out many ways. I have a post on that also, but pull that out and dump that into GPT and told GPT, this is what I want to do, please guide me step by step, right? So that is another technique. Another technique is what I say, use that, change that. This is very, very useful. As I go forward, I will show various schemas. We are using a JavaScript schema to trigger the tool from Flowise. When you want to build a new one like that, don't start. I have not coded a single line of anywhere here, right? I will simply take my previous one or an example. But nowadays I take my previous one. I tell them, here is the existing schema. Use this as a base. Please change this URL. Please change this API endpoint URL, and instead of those variable, I want these variables and so, and give it to it. What I get is directly usable, especially very usable for Flowise Java function agent calls for Flowise. The function call, JavaScript function calls, and for custom GPT, if you are building the open API schema, the JSON schema, very, very useful there. So as I go, I will be talking about these technique that, okay, now use this. So these are things which will really speed up your work. I found that, and enable you to do, create incredible apps. Okay. So what do I mean by the main React agent? The main React agent is the one who does all the tasks here. Once the text voice to text has been done, that instruction is passed to the agent. Okay, here is what the user is saying, what do I do? So it will either update, send report, deck, or it will just answer the question. So that is the agent I'm talking about. So for that that is built in Flowise, right? And Flowise, you have two options of using Flowise. Either you self-host it's open source, so you can self-host it. I did the self-hosting on Render, using 𝐤𝐕𝐨𝐨𝐠𝐥𝐞 videos, which I have mentioned above. Very easy to self-host, and there are no limits on the messages and bots and all. You can, whatever the server can manage, and can manage quite a bit. I don't know, I've got some 30 or so flows or automation flows and all running there. And second option is Flowise has recently come up with a cloud hosted version, which is that just log into the website and start building whichever you like. Interface is same. Now building the chat flow is very simple. I have shared the, you can do it, you can node by node, or I have shared the blueprint of my chat. So this is the chat flow, or this is the LLM React agent. So I have shared the blueprint. You can simply copy it, or very simple to do anyway. So if we have to do it, uh, if we have to test it out, these are simple. You add a tool agent here, chat OpenAI node is here, and then connected to a custom tool, right? It is connected to a custom tool, and there is a buffer memory, and I'm using GPT-4o mini for this. Now custom tool. Now this custom tool is the important piece. This custom tool directs the agent, what to do, what action to take. So let's look at the custom tool now. So in the tools, this is the custom tool. Again, I have shared the JSON schemas for that, so you can simply import it and make the changes that you wish. Like I told you, best is to take an existing schema and get it changed. So this tool, the way it works is, it has got or a function call. This is a tool which does a function call. Basically, it can do a function call to a API endpoint. In this case, this is the code which is the JavaScript code which does the function call to the API endpoint. In our case, it is to the make endpoint, and I'll come to it. How do you connect both of this, right? And where to get all these things. For now, right now, what you need to understand is what is the information we need to what is the information that we need to extract from the user. So when the user sends the information, what are the information that we need to extract and send? So first we need to figure out the type. What is the user requesting, whether it is a update request or a report generation request or a deck. So this is the intelligence or the reasoning piece which the LLM is going to do. That taking the user's input, we want it to figure out these variables, right? And you have to put these variables in this input schema here. That what I am telling it is that here instruction that based on the user's input, please figure out these variables. So type, then Gen AI app heading. So what I am asking the agent to do, or LLM, is that here a short heading up to 10 words. So I am asking it to that take the user's input and whatever the tool and platform it is talking about, pull out a short heading up to 10 words. So this the agent has to do using its reasoning power. Then I say that, okay, create a detailed description of 50 words, because sometimes the user or me, I could be rambling on for a long time, right? So take out a detailed description up to 50 words, then find out the main use case from there. Then GPT use case 1, 2 and 3. So I am suggesting here, I am asking the agent that this is a GPT suggested totally new use case, that you have to suggest this tool, you have to suggest some 3 new use cases which can be used, and one will come here, second and third GPT use case, and we will call it this variable name. Then effort and cost is low, medium or high. Low, medium or high, it can only take these 3 values. If I give the effort, fine. If not, it will put it on its own. So I am asking the GPT that based on the user input, please create these variables intelligently. That is that is what the input schema is, right? That from this the agent knows, the LLM knows that from the user input, these are the things I need to create, and I need to put them into these variables. After that, once this is done, after that it is just triggering the API call. Once this is done, then all these things are passed in the JavaScript code. Next is the JavaScript code, which again is triggered off by the agent itself. So once it has found this app heading and all, so this is JavaScript code where all these variables are initialized and the values from the user input are picked up. and once it is picked up, it is sent out to this make.com. Make.com is where the automation is happening, or it can be sent out any API endpoint. In some other cases, I'm reaching out to a fast API server to do SQL processing. In this case, we are reaching out to the make.com. So that is the flow of it. And how to make this one, you can use this as a starting point, and you can just take this and ask ChatGPT or whichever were, hey, can you explain this schema and the JSON data being passed? So here again, it explains further, these are the variables which are created, and as it explains that the JSON data structure, what are the data type, this type which is update, report or deck is always to be included. And what is the data are all the data that we are going to pass when we send an update, but that is required only if the type is update. If I'm saying type is report or a deck, I don't need to update any data, right? If it is report or a deck, it is just going to trigger the automation skip, so this data need not be passed. So what that JavaScript is doing, it is passing the data only when the type is update. And ChatGPT is explaining this flow that then it does a post request to that API endpoint. And now if you want to make any changes, you can just ask it, okay, make so and so changes, can you make the change, and can you change it with the new URL, and here is the request I want, and so and so, whatever you wish, depending on your automation flow. That's how I do it. It make the changes, it sends me the new one, I copy paste it, test it out. That's it. I don't, not a single line of code I have written here. So this is the technique which I mentioned. Use this, change that, use an existing code or a baseline, and have it make the next step, where we will set up the make.com first connection. We need the first connection is very important. So how to set up that connection, how to take that webhook, how to give that URL, we will cover in the next process. So let's go to the step 2. So now it's very important to connect that chat flow to make.com. Make sure that the data is passing correctly, and we will connect it to make.com. Make sure the data is passing, and update the Excel sheet, Google Sheets, and the database. So that is what we will do in step 2. So this is the existing scenario in make.com, and again I'll share the blueprint so you can simply import it and make the changes and connect it. So this is an existing one. This is the webhook which is taking the input. So I will just redo this step, recreate this step and show. So we start with a scenario, because getting this first set of information becomes a little important. Once you have the information is flowing properly here, then the remaining steps are still, then you are all set in a way. So I will create, let's create a new scenario only. So I will create a new scenario. So we are totally blank scenario. This is where it starts, right? On the other hand, we have the Flowise. Starting is a webhook, which is like an API endpoint, so custom webhook. And again, I will also add a scenario. There are excellent videos on this, especially from Leon. So I will add the link to that also. Scenario. So we create a scenario here, and we add a webhook. I will add a webhook, custom webhook. So this is the first note. What is the webhook? Webhook is like an API endpoint. It is always listening for a data coming in. So it is always listening. As soon as the data comes in, then it does whatever it is supposed to do the next. So I will choose a, no, I will need to add a new one. So I will add a new webhook name. So I will say LLM apps, LLM test, LLM. IP restrictions are none, and I will just say save. So now I have done this save here. So now I have to go, and what I need to do is, now it is saying make is now listening for the data and will determine the data structure from the incoming data automatically. To initiate this process, please send your data sample. So now what we have to do is, at this point in time, we have to trigger the chat flow and ask it to do the update so that the data is sent out here. So The way this webhook works is that we don't have to give the data structure and all here. I've already set up the data structure in the tool, where we are saying that please send this data in JSON format. So the webhook, the way it works is for the first time, it's only for the first time. For the first time, it waits for the data to come in. So once the data comes in, it says, I have determined the structure. This is the data you are going to be sending me, and now we can use it for next one. So see, it is still awaiting that data. So now we need to go to Flowise, and we need to send the first test request. Okay. So here, if we go to Flowise, so okay, now we come to some changes. So I will just duplicate this chat flow. I already have this chat flow, so I am going to just duplicate this chat flow and show you. So I will come here, I'll say duplicate chat flow, and I will just call it test. Save. And now we have to update the custom tool. I will mention about the custom tool. So this is the custom tool where we have given all those things. This has an old address, so this is where I have to put that webhook address, right? So for make.com, I will pick up this webhook address, Control C, and I need to address it here. That's it, right? This is the new webhook address. I'll say save. So this is my tool, right? Tool tracker v2, where I put the address which is ending with YZ, right? ZYW. Okay. So this is tool tracker 2. So then I will come to this test. This is the LLM chatbot. I have just copied the same there, and here there is a tool. There is a different tool. This is the different tool. So this is the tool we updated now. Tool tracker 2. Where is the tool tracker 2? This is the one we updated now. So we will update it. So I will say save. Now this chatbot is working. We can test it right here, right? Hello should be working. Okay. Now still awaiting. It is still awaiting the response. So we will say. So I will simply say here, hey, can you update with new record? I will say Flowise let's send this out. Let's see. So now the tool agent has seen update. It says it has sent the data to the to our API endpoint. So let us go to the API endpoint and see here is what it is now showing, right? It says successfully determined, right? So I will say okay. Now what we will do is, there are many ways you can test the data. I can add a JSON parser and stuff like that, but what we will do is we'll simply connect it now to Google Sheet. So Google Sheet. So we have Google Sheet. So here are all the things it can do with Google Sheet. Same with Excel sheet. It can create a spreadsheet, copy a sheet, range value, delete, update, add, row, search, clear, whatever. So anything you want to do with Google Sheet, you can do it. I just want to add a row here. I just want to add a row, right? I want to add a row to an existing Google Sheet. So I already have a Google Sheet. So here is the Google Sheet which I have, which is saved on my drive. So 𝐤𝐸 LLM app, so it is shared on my drive. First row I have given the headers. In the other demo video, the first headers were some issue, but best is to give it like this. First row give headers, and now we come to make.com. That is very simple. So your Google connection, if you are it's already connected to my Google account. If you are not connected to a Google account, you add your Google connection, and you sign in with Google. So you are connected to Google. So again, no, sorry, this has gone. Settings. So Google connection, you authenticate once, then search method, search by path and my drive. So here there are many ways. So you can give the spreadsheet ID also, but you can simply choose just drag and drop. You get it shows you all your files and folders. So this is my file 𝐤𝐸 LLM apps. This is my Google Sheets, right? So it connects automatically, nothing that I have to do. So it is asking the sheet name. I'll say sheet 2. This is where I had shown the headers. Does it contain header? Yes, it contains headers. Add a content, and then it is showing me the header. Then it is asking me what is the data you want to put here. So I will come here. So it is showing me the data which is coming from the webhook previously, right? From the previous step. Okay, so what do I want to do in 𝐤𝐸 app heading? This is the same data we had sent from there, right? This is the LLM has used its reasoning and intelligence to create these things. Now we will say that 𝐤𝐸 app heading, please, the data you are getting 𝐤𝐸 app heading, please put it in this column. Gen AI. This is the column headings in the Google Sheet, right? This column A, B, C, D, E, F, and the headings are also there. If headings were not there, it will just show column A, B, C, D. So the description, put it in description. Main use case, put in main use case. GPT use case 1, put it in GPT use case 1. GPT use case 2, put it here. Put this one here. Effort, put it here. Cost, put it here, and that's it, right? And remaining, I think that's it. Yeah. Okay, so I'll say okay. So now we have connected this thing. So now we have to see whether the data actually comes here or not, right? First time was a test. Now we have connected to Google Sheet. It is still blank sheet here, right? So now I will say this is okay. So now we want to test it. We want to test the scenario by seeing whether data is actually going or not. Till now we just have got the data format which we have mapped. So I'll say run once. So run once means now it is listening. Okay, so now we will go to our flow here, and I will again this is the no, this is not the one, this is the test one tool tracker 2, right? This is the one we are using. So then I will say chat window here, hey, can you update with the new item? I'll say Flowise multi-agent for multi-agent framework. uh, Let it go. Normally remaining data, it will figure it out itself. So the tracker has been updated. So tracker has been updated. So let us see what has happened in make.com. It says it has received one entry, right? One entry here, one entry here it has received, right? So it sees it has updated so and so, so and so. So we'll see whether it has updated. So we will come to this sheet and see it has updated. It has updated. So we are all set now. Okay, now we need to add a Excel connection. So all that we do is I will add a Excel connection. I'll say add a module, and I will say so this is the Gen AI LLM apps, same way. So again you connect to the workbook, and same in the same manner it will ask you the what is the sheet name, and it will ask you the sheet name there, and in the sheet same way I will make is the sequence is wrong. I don't want it to go from Google Sheet to Microsoft Excel, right? I want simultaneous. So I need to break this connection. I will say unlink, and I will connect it here directly. So when I connect it directly here, it adds a router. Router means it is routing to multiple places. Same data, it is routing out to multiple places. So just like we update Google Sheets, we have updated the Excel sheets, whatever data, wherever it, whatever heading. Now here is one important piece. Whenever it receives something here, not all the information has to go, right? We have given three types. When the agent is sending the information there in our Flowise schema, we have given something called type. Type means report or deck or update, and we have given that in our JSON format also. Type means type is, if type is not update, then don't send the data, that is report and deck. If it is update, then send the data. So update it to update Google Sheet and Microsoft only when the type is update. So how do we do that? You see this banner icon here, you click here, set up a filter, and I will say filter is what? Filter is based on the data which is coming in. So I'll say type. If the type is update, then only do this. Same here. I'll say here, I will say set up a filter, condition, type. Only if the type is update, type is equal to update, then only you execute this rule. And there are a lot of complex, there are a whole bunch of lovely things that you can do with make.com. is a simple example. So when a data comes, only if it is update will it initiate Google do this update. If it is a report or a deck, it will do something else. Similarly we connect then we connect add module. Now I also mentioned we are connected to AWS RDS MySQL, right? You can connect to any database. Most of the connectors are there. So for that I will choose MySQL. So I will show MySQL, and MySQL again, lot of operations you can do from here also. So I'll say I want to, you can just execute a query. I have not tried this for executing a query. I use a separate API server. I might try this out next time. I want to insert a row into a table. So again I have added this to the router. Now here it will ask for the SQL connection. So you give your SQL connection. I've given my SQL endpoints and connection name. You can give your connection name, Amazon RDS MySQL, whatever you want to give name. These are the standard connection string which are required. I've given my host ID. The port is port. MySQL port is whatever, it is standard. I typically I forget, I ask GPT what the port should be. And otherwise, database is your schema name. So you would have created a schema, so you give the schema name, username, and the password. So these are the standard connection strings which are required for MySQL, or most of the standard connection. You will always need a host, host or the IP address, you will always need a port most of the times. MySQL has a default port, I keep forgetting what it is. Same this thing, database or schema, user, password. So once you save this, then it will ask you, I will show it here in my connection string in the other main one. This is the live one. So once I have given my connection string, it will show me the tables in my schema. So here are all the tables in the schema. So I can choose which table. And same again in the table, it is asking me what field I should map to which one. So same, I will choose whatever I'll do, map this data that you have received to this column in the table. So that's it. So with this now, I showed you this one, right? This is the one we did from beginning, establishing the connection. Establishing the connection is very important. And assuming something, when you're first establishing a connection, something goes wrong or some data format has changed. What do you do now? You come back to webhook. Then you say redetermine data structure. See here, redetermine data structure. So you say redetermine data structure. So now it is again listening. So you can try as many times till you get it right. When I used to do it for the first time and I do it many times, something will not work and so on. Or if I change the data, sometimes I have only 3 fields added. Now I added 4 fields more, 2 more fields. So I will change the data there in the tool JavaScript. I will give the new variables there in the input spina, and then I will again hit do a update, and then I'll say listening, come here. It will redetermine the data structure and then add the new fields there, right? So you can do it as many times as you want till you get it right, or when you change the data. So if you look at our process guide, we have now created a main React agent. We have connected our main React agent in Flowise. We have connected that to now make.com, where the automation flow is happening. And we, along with connecting, we have been able to update Excel, Google Sheet, and our MySQL database on Amazon, right? So now with this, second step is over. Okay, so now we have been able to connect the Flowise, the tool, and the make.com. So at this point in time now, you have a working version. So I will now show you 2 things, how you can go live right now in 2 manners. One is with the Flowise UI, which is here, and second is to connect this to the React front end, which I had mentioned earlier in the GitHub repo. So we'll just see both the ways, whichever you have that option in case you need. So this was the tool which was connected. This is now good to go. So suppose I want to deploy this as a independent chatbot. So all that I need to do is you come here, I come to here, I come here in the settings, and not in the settings, I'll come here, API endpoint, and I'll give to share chatbot. I will make it public. It was private, so you make it public, right? And you add the headers, and some of the customizations options are there. And now this is your public URL. So you have a ready public URL. I have given my custom domain, but this is a public URL. So if I copy this, or I can open it here, right? So this is a bot that is working. Now in order to make it live, you have to again go back to the make scenario. Okay, so this is our make.com scenario. So I have just kept Google Sheets now just to demonstrate this piece. Now in order to go live with this, one more thing which you have to do is, once everything has been tested, once you run once, you can do and test it and so on. But once that is done, you want it to be always listening, so you have to schedule it. You just say on. So now it is active. So now it is continuously listening, right? Now we will go back here. This app is we have created this thing. We have made it public. Now this app Flowise also offers voice functionality. Voice functionalities, it can take voice input, it cannot talk back, which is why one of the reasons we are creating that other front end over this. So how do you enable voice functionality? You go to settings and you go to configuration, and here we have various options are there. You go to speech to text. You choose the speech to text provider. OpenAI I have chosen. I have to give the my credentials here. OpenAI key, Flowise you have to give the key, so I have given my key. Remaining language and all you can put. For the time being I've just kept it blank, so I'll say save. So now this is, so let's see how that we will save the chat flow. Now let us see how that works. So this is now connected to make.com scenario is also running, and this is the Flowise bot, right? So this is a public URL. You can take it, embed it into your code, website, wherever. So let's try audio mode. Hey, can you update with a new entry? It's a LLM app development platform called Vector Shift. So it does the speech to text and it won't talk back, but it will update. So let's see here, Vector Shift, it has updated, right? Second entry it has updated. Here is Vector Shift. Get the public, this is a public URL. Can go live public URL. You can embed this into your website. You can embed into website or whichever way you want to deploy this one. Now this is the Flowise, so this is good to go. Now at this point in time, you can connect it to, I have earlier shown that this GitHub repo which I had shown, this is a working framework, right? And this was the one that I had shown earlier. So this will say it is updating, but it is not updating because we have not connected it to our whole flow. So in order to connect to the whole flow, there is only one thing to be done. This part will work, right? For these things, other things we have to do. So all that we need to do now is connect this to that whole Flowise flow, which is already connected to make.com. So how do we connect this to the Flowise flow? Now, slightly different process. What is the process? So if we come here, so just keep in mind, it can be when we come here, share chatbot gives you an embedded box. You get a whole embedded box. But if you do not want their UI or the chatbot, and you want to customize it like we want to do, then Flowise has a marvelous functionality, very powerful stuff. It's that you come to curl, and here you take this prediction endpoint. So this is the API endpoint where we can send the API request and get the response back. And you can also set the memory so that it remembers. In this case, I have not set it. So you just take this. You just take this one, API endpoint URL, Control C. You take this one, and we come to this. We come to our. This thing I have opened in the GitHub code spaces. You can open it in whichever editor you prefer. I use GitHub code spaces in case I want to use cursor ID, which is then I go work from a on the cursor ID one. Now, so you come here. All that you need to do is if there are complex changes, I show in my part 3. This is Claude Dev, install as a marketing this thing. More complex changes you can just ask it to do it, it will do it. But this is a fairly simple change. All that you need to do is you come to the simple voicebot.js, right? And here we have this, right from top. If you come down here, we have this one, speech to text is there, and then we have the get chat completion. So this, you see this URL, if you see currently this is a temporary holding one. So you come here and we just paste the new. We come here and we just paste the new URL. That's all. Now with this one copy paste here, it is now connected to the whole Flowise whole chain that we just created. So let's test it. Let's see. I will do npm start. And let's see if that works or not. So npm start. So it is opening. So it has opened. Now where in this Excel sheet, last entry was Vector Shift LLM app development platform. So let's add, we will add one more item there. Connected. Let's try it out. So open API key is saved here. So hey, can you update with a new item? It is Jina.ai, JINA.ai. It's a web scraping API based tool for LLM, especially for LLM apps. So it is processing request, and let's see.
The tracker has been successfully updated with the new item, 𝐔𝐩𝐜𝐞. If you need any further assistance or updates, feel free to ask.
So it is updated. This is the new one. We were last second entry was this. This is the third entry which is put, right? So all that we did was, what did we do? All that we did was we just came here, put this one URL here, matter over. Right? Now this is currently still in. Now this is currently still on the GitHub Codespaces browser, right? This is not a public URL, testing URL. How do you go live? Going live takes what, 1 minute with Vercel. So I will commit it. Updated URL, and I will push it. So let's see if it has come here. So source with updated URL, so it has come here. Now all that we need to go is we go to Vercel. We go to Vercel and we say add new. I'll say add new project, and you need to connect your GitHub repo once, log in and just connect it. So it will show your repositories which are connected. So this is the one. I'll say import, and I will say, you can give your project name. I'll say temp delete later on, and root directory is same. No change in root directory. I will say deploy. This is a very small project. It has got all these are considered as static websites, so it's all free on Vercel. You can use whichever your Netlify or whichever. All of them work the same way. 1 minute, less than 1 minute, it gets deployed. You get this message, and let's see if it is working and updating it or not. So I will go. As you can see here, it is now a public URL. This Vercel creates its own URL, so it's a public URL. You can change it to your custom URL. Enter my OpenAI key, and let's test it out. Hey, can you update with a new entry, Firecrawl AI? Again, it's a web scraping platform tool, especially suited for LLM apps. So it's processing the request. Let's see what happens. Here it comes, Firecrawl. It has updated, right?
The entry for Firecrawl AI has been successfully updated in the tracker. If you need any further assistance or updates,
right. So what did we do? Just to summarize, what we did was a whole chain we built up. You had this whole chain here, and if you just want to deploy your bot like this, you share your chatbot. This link is a chatbot which can take in voice inputs, can't reply in voice, and it can work with text input also. And if you want to connect it to the React frontend, all that you need is this one endpoint. This one endpoint, we just did it in 1 minute, right? Here, replace, push it, deploy it to Vercel. I just did all of it in front of pretty much 2 minutes, right? So that's the setup. So as we add the remaining components here, you connect it. You just replace the URLs. If you are already comfortable with creating chatbots and chat flows there, you create those chat flows and add it here. Now we will go to the next step. So next step is what? Next step is now we want to do the automation. We have seen how it is sending out the print format in report and the deck format there. So now let's go into step 3, how to create that automation script in Google Script, how to deploy it as web app, and how to connect that to make.com, so that when an instruction comes from our agent here, that things get triggered.